As we are now walking back to the ship from Victoria, Canada, this is a good time for us to do a cruise recap. So we want to go through all the different aspects of this cruise, from the check-in to the food and the ports of call. So the check-in process for us was a little bit messy. It was crowded, but then again, you have to consider that this is the peak time for cruising, which is the end of July. And so everybody, especially with COVID restrictions ending, everybody really wanted to go back to cruising. And Alaska is one of the first destinations that they think about when they want to cruise in the USA. So the check-in process was messy, but we feel like it wasn't horrible. Perhaps it is a lot worse than other times of the year, but for us, since we are kind of new cruisers, it wasn't that bad for us. So the second thing that we wanted to go through is the experience on the ship itself. So the experience on the Norwegian cruise ship, the Norwegian Encore cruise ship, is to us, it's everything about it is great. The only things that we had issues with were pretty much our neighbors and them being loud, and also just little nitpicky aspects of our room, like the door, when you close the door, it slams pretty loud. But overall, the room design itself is very user-friendly, and there's a lot of storage. And so we really enjoyed the spaciousness of our balcony room. We would say that our balcony room is much larger than the rooms that we had in Paris. So, our room had a sofa, it has plenty of room in the bathroom and everything. So everything about the room itself, and also everything about the design of the ship, is very convenient, easy to navigate, and all of the fixtures and furniture on the ship seem high quality and well built. And so the ship and the room itself are something that we very much enjoyed on the ship. And so our last thing is the food. And so we opted to kind of do this trip or do this cruise as a bare bones cruise, where we tried to not spend any extra money on any extra excursions or any extra food options. So we only ate at the complimentary restaurants. And so our experience with the food at the complimentary restaurants on the Norwegian Encore is that the food was fantastic overall. There were some occasions when we had dinner on our first 2 nights in the Manhattan room, where the dinner was kind of subpar and not that good. But overall, when we had lunch, breakfast and dinner at some of the other complimentary restaurants, and also the Garden Cafe buffet, all the food was at least decent tasting, if not kind of world-class tasting. Some of the food, is borderline Michelin star quality, borderline very highly rated restaurant quality. And for example, we had prime rib that was fantastic tasting. We had scallops that were fantastic tasting. So, if you are thinking about doing a Norwegian Encore cruise that is kind of a bare bones trip, where you don't spend any extra money on excursions or on food, I think you would be very satisfied about doing that. So you really don't need to be spending any extra money. If you enjoy walking in the ports of call like we do, that's something that we really enjoy, just walking around. You can definitely save a lot of money, and also you can have just as much enjoyment as taking an excursion. So especially on your first Alaskan cruise, it's something that maybe you want to do. You just want to go into town and explore the town, rather than going on a fancy excursion and missing out on the time that you can spend in town. so you can just walk around town. So overall, we really enjoyed this Alaskan cruise. It's something that we almost feel like we would do again, because there's constantly new things to see on the Alaskan cruise because of the different changes in weather and the different seasons. So it's something that we would definitely consider doing again if we had the opportunity. So thanks for following us on this trip of ours. We hope you enjoyed it. We disembarked from the cruise ship this morning, and now we are hanging out in Seattle until our flight tonight at around 8 p.m. So we used a luggage storage service and went off on our way to the Space Needle. And also we are now gonna get some coffee, and later we're gonna eat some Thai food to see if Seattle's cuisine lives up to the hype. On this day in Seattle, the first thing that we noticed, or the first thing that popped out to us about Seattle, is that it is extremely expensive. We passed by a boba place, and a boba drink was $8, and the trip up the Space Needle is like $35, and a museum is $30. So everything here seems to be very expensive. For coffee, we decided on the Himalayan Java Cafe, where we got the caramel macchiato iced coffee. And this coffee was possibly one of the best iced coffees that we've had so far. It was creamy, it was sweet but not too sweet, and it was just the right amount of flavor and also the right amount of roastiness. After spending 7 whole days on the cruise ship eating mostly European type food, we are having a major craving for spicy and sour type Asian food. So right now we're walking to Bang Krat Market, where we will try to get some Thai food that is very spicy and possibly kind of sour. So we decided to eat at Bang Rak Market Thai restaurant. It's a very colorful restaurant that is also very wildly popular. When we got there, it was like 12 o'clock when they first opened, and this is a Sunday, and already there were 20 people waiting to get in. And so we decided to get the grilled pork and also the Thai papaya salad with the fermented fish sauce, and we also got the boat noodle with the beef. And the last thing we got was a smoky glass noodle with shrimp. And so our favorite dish of the restaurant was definitely the smoky glass noodle with the shrimp, and all the other dishes were pretty good to very good. They weren't the best that we've had so far, but the thing with the restaurant is the service is kind of slow. We got there at 12, and the food really didn't come out until about 12:40 or so. So overall, the food was good, and we enjoyed it since we were craving for some spicy and sour food. And so that was our lunch in Seattle. Well, that concludes our Alaskan cruise, and we are now at the SeaTac airport waiting for our delayed flight to leave. So I hope you enjoyed our short stay in Seattle.